Rivian, the automaker specializing in Amazon delivery vans, the adventure vehicles like the R1T, their off-road adventure truck, as well as their R1S, their three-row adventure SUV, at one time seemed as though they had real chances of dominating the market when it came to the utility EV space. But 2022 was a tough year for Rivian. They recalled every vehicle they ever produced due to loose fasteners, they pulled out of their partnership plans with Mercedes, and their stock price went from $150 back in November of 2021 to $16.40 today in 2023, making it one of the worst performing stocks of the year. Elon Musk himself even stated that unless Rivian cuts some of their expenses, they are going to end up filing for bankruptcy.
Unless something changes significantly with Rivian and Lucid, they will both go bankrupt. They're tracking to bankruptcy.
But the real question is this true? And if so, what exactly went wrong? But before we dive into that, I do want to let you guys know that my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, is currently on sale until January 15th. And if you use the code NEWYEAR200, you can get 40% off the entire course. The Car Sharing Masterclass teaches you everything you need to know about starting a car sharing business with the same business model that I've used to grow my fleet to over 21 vehicles. We teach you things like how to buy cars, how to automate your operations, as well as how to handle things like damage claims. And the cool thing is that we are releasing a highly improved second iteration of the course later on this year, and once that happens, the price point is going to go up. So if you lock in the Car Sharing Masterclass at this low price today, you will gain automatic free entry into the second iteration once it's released. So if you want to check it out for yourself, you can click on the link in the description below and use the code NEWYEAR200 for 40% off. Now back to the video. Over the last few weeks, I've been seeing more and more comments in my videos stating that Rivian is likely to go bankrupt along with Lucid Motors, leaving Tesla the only exclusive EV maker standing. And so, of course, I wanted to take a deep dive. Now, full disclosure, I absolutely love Rivians. I think that they are one of the best looking cars on the road, and if you've seen my videos in the past, you probably know that I have a 1997 Toyota 4Runner that's my daily driver that I've had since I was 16 years old. And I have for a long time planned on buying a 6th generation 4Runner and making that my new daily driver once they're released. But over the last couple of months, I have been extremely tempted to, instead of buying a 6th generation 4Runner, instead buy a Rivian R1T or an R1S. In fact, I even looked at a used R1T this past weekend and I absolutely loved it, though it is very, very expensive, a little bit too expensive for my taste. But let's first talk about what Rivian has done right, then we're going to talk about what they've done wrong, and then we're going to talk about what the odds of an actual bankruptcy really are. From a marketing standpoint, Rivian has done a really great job differentiating themselves amongst a growing sea of electric vehicles. While most EVs out there really focus on tech and luxury, Rivian has taken a different approach, and they focus on adventure and utility. If you watch any Rivian video on the internet, nearly every single one will be plastered with how the Rivian has a ton of storage, the R1T has a gear tunnel, a portable stereo, off-roading capabilities, tons of space, multiple configurations depending on your needs, a hidden flashlight, air compressor, and first aid kit. You can even order a rooftop tent setup directly from Rivian, and at one point in time, you could even order an outdoor kitchen setup for the R1T gear tunnel. In fact, one of Rivian's biggest official spokespeople is Alex Honnold, who's the person who free-sold El Capitan a couple of years ago, and he is like the poster child for adventure. And so Rivian is absolutely positioning themselves as this adventure vehicle that not only is comfortable and luxurious, but also can help you complete all of the adventures that you want to do. And in my opinion, I think that they're succeeding at this tactic. And while I know aesthetics of a vehicle are certainly in the eyes of the beholder, I personally think that Rivian hit the nail on the head whenever it came to the overall look of the car. I think for many people, the Tesla Cybertruck fell short of expectations because of the obscure appearance of the car. And other times I've heard criticisms of the F-150 Lightning because it's very, very similar looking to a regular lower trim F-150. The Rivian, on the other hand, is a nice cross between having a futuristic, modern, unique look while also still resembling a truck. Another huge win for Rivian has been their partnership with Amazon. Amazon invested $700 million into Rivian, and there are plans to purchase 100,000 custom-built electric delivery vans from Rivian, and these are already on the road. In fact, the Amazon delivery truck that delivers my Amazon packages is in fact a Rivian van, and they are extremely cool. These are, in my opinion, some of the big wins that Rivian has had over the years, but let's move on to some of their big misses. Though there are a number of minor issues that Rivian has faced over the last couple of years, their two major problems are production as well as expenses. Last week, it was announced that Rivian missed full-year production guidance, and this was after they had already slashed production earlier in the year. Rivian produced 24,337 units, missing their 25,000 unit target just slightly. They also delivered 20,332 units. Though this production was record-breaking for the company, skyrocketing past their 2021 figures, which was 1,105 units produced and 920 units delivered, this is obviously a big improvement, but to miss expectations even after expectations were decreased significantly earlier in the year is not good. But production isn't their only problem. Another issue is their sky-high expenses. We don't have all the data for 2022 quite yet, but for the third quarter of 2022, operating expenses were at $2.3 billion, which is an increase of 197% year over year. Rivian's 12-month operating expenses between the third quarter of 2021 and the third quarter of 2022 was $8.56 billion, which was an increase of 384.6%. Now, granted, we do have to keep in mind that, of course, if a company is going from producing just over 1,000 vehicles to producing just under 25,000 vehicles, of course, their expenses are also going to drastically increase. But the problem is not only are their expenses astronomical, but their net losses are as well. In the third quarter of 2022, Rivian reported revenue of $536 million with net losses of $1.72 billion for that quarter. Ford invested $500 million in Rivian with plans to collaborate, and those collaboration plans were eventually canceled. And Mercedes and Rivian had plans to collaborate on a van, with production taking place at a Mercedes factory in Poland. And those plans were also canceled by Rivian as a cautionary measure to prevent overextending themselves, with the CFO of Rivian stating, "Our decision to pause this partnership with Mercedes-Benz is based on our focus on prioritizing investments with the highest returns. We have a range of opportunities to invest our capital and are constantly evaluating and refining our analysis of these projects." So the question of this video is Rivian going bankrupt? Though it does seem as though the consensus from market experts and analysis is that Rivian is at a crucial point in their life. They were founded in 2009, but they just started producing vehicles. Not to mention they did so during the worst automotive production crunch in recent history. Their expenses are sky high, but this is true for most companies at this stage. It certainly was for brands like Tesla. And while Rivian is far from a shoo-in when it comes to a success, they certainly aren't a certain failure either. Truthfully, I think it is far too early to make a thoughtful prediction about whether or not Rivian is in fact going to file for bankruptcy, and I think it's very far-fetched to go as far as to say that they are likely going to file for bankruptcy. Now, of course, I'm just a YouTuber, but if I was a betting person, I would bet that they will not be filing for bankruptcy. I think in a worst case scenario, they might end up merging or end up getting bought out by a larger manufacturer. And they would enter some sort of partnership agreement where the larger manufacturer would produce the actual vehicles themselves, but Rivian would retain their image and their overall branding. Similar to the deal that was briefly discussed a couple of years ago with General Motors and Nikola with the Badger. Of course, only time will tell, and I think we'll end up finding a lot about Rivian and the future of the company in 2023. But at this point in time, I think it's just simply too early to make any thoughtful predictions. And I do believe that any predictions that are being made are simply just guesses. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.